Hello, this is Dr. B again. And as I've been telling you now for the last few times, we are coming to the end of the course. Today I will be sharing chapter 11 with you, and this is the last chapter in the book. So I'm feeling a little sad, but also very happy. And I hope that you're feeling happy that you stuck it out and that you're enjoying the course, hopefully, and that you'll get something out of it. So just to remind you formally, I'm Dr. Madeline Boskowitz. I'm the author of I Want to Be Me, but I don't know who I am. But I do know now. And also it's workbook, the I Want to Be Me book, also by myself. This came out just a few months ago. So chapter 11 is actually a very tough chapter because while it is still very optimistic, it helps you to tackle the problems that are in your life. I'm very aware, having taught in the inner city schools and worked there and worked even in shelters, and that a lot of teens and young adults really have a very hard time because of the conditions that they live in. So I felt it was really important to address that and to invite you to think about how to solve the problems, not the problems for your family, but your problem and how to find a way to get ahead. I was just looking at the last page of the previous chapter where I think I forgot to quote this to you, but I think it's perfectly good here. Being unafraid to trust yourself is the magic that makes it possible to strive for dreams and succeed in achieving them. And this is absolutely the best introduction to chapter 11, which looks at the coping with problems in your life, your family, your community. And so I start out actually talking about poverty, which is such a general condition of many, many of the public school students that I worked with. And fortunately, there are public schools and they're free for students, and they have special programs to help with this and that. There is even help, to supply food and alleviate hunger and provide needed supplies, provide after-school tutoring, provide programs like Project Head Start to help preschoolers get ready for school, and even things like communities in school to help teens who have dropped out or who are on the verge of dropping out. So the public schools are doing whatever they can to help everyone get an education. Don't forget that education is due to all students, and that you're entitled to seek success and follow your dreams. And I shared a little bit of my own history, that I grew up in quite difficult times with a lot of poverty. And even at one time when I was about 12, my father lost his job, and it was a very hard time. I was living in France with my family, and people think of France as glamorous, but it's not glamorous for people who are very poor, just like here in the States. So, and there wasn't enough food or any money for new clothes and shoes, and I ended up having to wear my mother's old shoes that she had kept, and feeling very embarrassed to go to school. But I went. In my family, you didn't run away, and it was never an option to give up, which is how I've got to be here, because I've certainly had some major handicaps and difficulties. So I'm proof positive that it can be done. I also wanted to add that I'm laughing because several years later, that style of shoes became very fashionable and always brought me back to thinking about those hard times before we came to America. So we came to America when I was 14, and it was better. My parents could have jobs and both work full time and more, so that my sister and I could go to a free college that we earned by getting good grades. And we only worked to provide for our books and our lunches, because our parents really could not afford to give us any money. So lunches and bus fare, of course. And sometimes I walked, but it was about 3 miles. But it did happen that I walked if the weather was good. So to get back to you, though, a lot of people have educational challenges with ADHD or dyslexia or learning disorders. And all these have to be taken care of in the school, and it's provided. And being embarrassed about it is okay, but you have to take advantage of it because it's to even the playing field. And so don't be embarrassed about it. And I talked about emotional challenges that are quite frequent because of all these difficulties. And this is where I think I want to come on double because remember, depression is about things not fitting well. So you can do the work to find out what you need and the help you need at school and outside of school, and really struggle to get your piece of the pie. And this is what this book is for. I wrote, all the advice in this book is geared towards preventing depression in teens and young adults by fostering hope that you can cope and you can do things for yourself. And this includes when you have physical challenges. Remember my examples. People adapt to them and find ways to work around them. And I'm thinking I wrote about movie actors such as Christopher Reeves and Michael J. Fox, who accomplished great things despite, or maybe because of their injuries and illness. Remember that piece I had shared with you that, young people in college who go to college after having had a lot of challenges to get there do much better than those who have not had challenges and don't know how to cope with challenges and problems. So, they may need to make up some academic work and coursework and all that, but in terms of knowing how to deal with difficulties, they already do. And I talked about mental and cognitive challenges, and sadly, a lot of teens and young adults have some difficulties, sometimes by birth, sometimes by accident. But they are entitled to dreams and to success, just like the rest of the teens. And so hopefully they get the help that they need. And no, they are, of course, they need to be provided the help. They may not be able to look for it for themselves, but it is available. And it is up to their parents to look for it. Talking about immigrant challenges and other students who do have the same challenge that I've had, where English is not our native language. And we do have the advantage of having learned to work hard to catch up with others and to get what we want. Then I go on to talk about difficulties in the home where, there might be an unstable situation with people coming and going, a lot of fighting, sometimes even drug use and some violence. And there, your job is to seek the help that you need if it is such a difficult home. But usually it's just tough. There is fighting, there is divorce, there is separation, there's people coming and going. And you may want to help your parents, but the best way to help the family is to take care of you. Remember, you're number one. You need to take care of you. And then later, when you succeed and have gotten yourself out of this difficult situation, you can help them with their situation if you feel that it's an option. But the best you can do is get out of poverty, get out of difficult situations as fast as you can, usually by getting the grades to get you a decent job. Graduate high school, maybe go to junior college or to a trade school, learn a skill, get a decent job, get yourself out of poverty. Many, many people have done it. What scares me is when people feel they'll never be able to do that. Look, their parents couldn't do it, and and we don't know what are the reasons, and maybe the parents don't have, the opportunities that they had, whatever the reason. That's not a reason for the young person not to try to get out of poverty. So what happened when there is drug and alcohol use in the family, and maybe teens learn that that's a way of coping, and with depression and anxiety, that there is no hope for them, then I certainly, even though I know I told you that I wouldn't judge and make choices for you, and I don't. However, if I can help you make better plans for yourself, I want to encourage you to do what you can to get out of using drugs before they kill you. And you do know that they do kill you. I do have the prejudice of wanting to see you succeed, just like your good parent wants to see you succeed. And, once you get out of drugs, and I encourage that, of course, you can take care of yourself. You can be the difference in your life. That's the secret that people who have overcome big odds know. They can be the change that they need, and they can succeed. So, and that is the way to move forward, to be more in tune with yourself and to enjoy success. Looking a tiny bit forward here. And I tell you again about opportunities and getting the help that you need. This is absolutely essential. And then lastly, I talk about legal involvement. And if you do end up incarcerated, it is, of course, the best thing you can do is take whatever they can offer you to help training for jobs, or to give you therapy to help you work through your difficulties. Take whatever there is to rebuild your life once you get out, and be ready for it. Because a lot of people, and I've worked with young people and not so young people who come out of jail and who really feel very lost, have no idea how to go forward and end up back in jail. And which is very sad, because a lot of jails do offer training and counseling and programs to help you succeed once you leave, once you've done your time. Another thing that I talk about is that a lot of times people turn 18 and now 21, and they can drink and have some fun, and they can go overboard and do things that are very foolish, or they get enlisted by other people who want to do the wildlife, and that's okay if you're cautious. But it's also, you read all the time about kids getting drunk and driving, and people getting hurt or killed. Sometimes the teens, sometimes others, sometimes both. So it can get very, very difficult. So I do want to encourage you to live the best life that you can. And I'm going to switch over to the workbook right now, because in the workbook, I give you work to do. I invite you to look at your own situation and what you are doing about it. Little piece by piece, coping with learning disabilities. What are you struggling with? How do you overcome the obstacles? And this is to encourage you to think there are ways to overcome. And physical disabilities, maybe they are result of an accident, or you're born with a physical disability, and you need to learn to accept limitations, but also to work around them and learn different skills, just like my blind friend, or my friend who had only one leg that was useful. It's a challenge. We all have difficulties. Disabilities due to accidents or illness require a lot of adaptation. And think about that actor that I just mentioned before, who had a neck injury and who was in a wheelchair. Took a lot of adaptation, but his choice was either to give up and be depressed and not accomplish anything, or really confront the new changes, confront what happened to him, his responsibility for it. I forget what it was, but presumably, and to move on within the wheelchair. What can you do? Yes, you can't walk, but there are a lot of things that you can do. I worked in nursing home for several years and worked with people who had, were now confined to a wheelchair, and some of them just couldn't adapt and felt, though, I mean, we worked on it, but felt that, they were no longer human if they couldn't walk. But of course, that's not true. And little by little, they came to face it that, yeah, they're stuck in a wheelchair. And yes, maybe they did something to get there, but that's not the issue. The issue is what now? What do you do now? What can you do? What will you do? People in wheelchairs have jobs. They work. They do all kinds of things. They even play in the Paralympics, which are running now and very exciting. You can do all kinds of things, but you have to have that mindset. So that reminds me, that you were offered in the books, and even if you don't have the books, just to go online to get them, the instruments, the identity scale, the behavior scale, the decision trees, and these things, where to help you evaluate where you are, where you want to be, how you're doing getting there, the decision trees, where to help you make good decisions or examine decisions that came out with difficult problems. What happened? Where did you choose something? Sometimes but not always. What could you have done to make it come out better? Or maybe you still can do something to make it come out better. It isn't over till it's over, right? So, talk about difficulties. I'm just continuing the workbook due to traumatic abuse or neglect, and there, in big letters, I encourage you, if you need help from outside your family, get the help now. It is doable. Lots of kids have done it. Lots of teens and young adults, I should say, and even kids. Then I help you examine your own emotional status, asking how you're doing, where naturally with difficulties, if you're depressed, if you're anxious. And, I ask you to circle your mood, your status, and they encourage you to get the help that you need. A lot of times teens hide it from their parents when they're depressed or anxious or upset about something, probably, or maybe they feel they're ashamed of it or they should be able to cope, but that's not constructive. What's much more constructive is letting your parents know or letting a school counselor know and the school psychologist and getting the help that you need. That is what takes courage and what makes sense for you, because don't forget, you're entitled to success. You're entitled to dreams and to strive for them. And that's the way it is. So talk about alcohol and drug use as a significant disability that you need to work around or maybe through, and limitations when you're in trouble with the law. And then again, what the situation is in your home. So there's a lot, like difficult families make it difficult to manage. A lot of times teens don't have any place to study or to sleep even. They sleep in the living room or wherever they can find space. They share a room with too many other children. So there are all kinds of challenges, and do you stay after school and study? Do you go outside? You know what I used to do in college? We had only a one-bedroom apartment. So my sister and I shared the bedroom, and my parents they slept in the living room. So that tells you, I haven't really known luxury in different times of my life. I mean, there are times when things have been much better, like they are now. But we lived in those apartments my whole college years, and I got a scholarship to go to graduate school. It was time to get out. But college was the luxuries we could afford to go. So I would hide in the bathroom, the one and only bathroom. I would lock the door and do all my homework in there. living on the John. You can laugh, but hey, I got through college. It worked. And my sister used to come at the knock at the door and say, library's closing. And speaking of library, that's where you can go to study and to get help, to get a lot of help. That's what librarians are for. I shared that with you before. So difficulties, again, identify what's going on in your family. And how do you self-soothe when things are very frustrating? You know, particularly with difficult families, do you go out for a walk? Do you listen to music? Do you maybe go to the library and get some peace and look at your studies, because that's going to be your way out of difficult situations? And, you know, this is why a couple of chapters ago, I was talking about people who say, well, I don't need to know that. I'm never going to use that. But that's not true. The more you know, the better. The bigger is your exit door to move on to better things. So go to the library, look things up, find out what might interest you. Everything is there for you to grab. There is no limit. And I know that's hard to learn, but there is no limit. So when there is, and I talk about illness, unemployment, use of drugs and alcohol in family, even criminal activities, remember you can report it and get the help that you need. And of course, poverty. But remember, we're getting on to the last page. Remember that you're entitled to your dream. It's most important to come back to them again. Dreams, plural, even if you have given up on them a long time ago. Don't forget that those who overcome hardships and great challenges are the stronger for them. They're often more successful than those who've had it easy. Identify your dreams and keep them squarely in front of you. Be careful not to make them too small. Don't let others tell you that you can't do anything. Where there is a will, there is a way. Don't be the one who gives up on their dreams. Remember that coping with difficulties early on makes you stronger, can help you build good coping skills, can help you be more creative, gains you respect from others. This is the best training for success. You can become a leader in your community. You can be popular. Your strong people always attract others. You can inspire others to strive for their dreams. You have now completed the workbook. Congratulations. It's been a pleasure to work through it with you. And I am going to schedule a live talk where we can maybe talk about the book, talk about any of your questions, talk about any chapter, whatever. Remember, this is not counseling. It's not personal counseling for personal problems, but we can talk in theory. This is education, just the way I've been doing rather than, and yes, I bring an example of me, and you could bring an example from your life, but we are not going to be doing therapy. We're just going to talk about, maybe encourage you to see what are your options, and that could be very, very useful for you. So again, it's been a pleasure doing this course. It's taken several months, and it will be available eventually on YouTube and even on Pinterest. You can always go back to hear the whole thing piece by piece. If you're willing or interested, you can share it with others. It's been free, as you know. The books are on Amazon. Every so often, I do a freebie for the guidebook. I just had one about 2 weeks ago. If you go to the website, www.iwanttobeme.org, you can sign up for the mailing list so you can find out when the free books are available, when there are sales, when I'm publishing something new, whatever. And you can get the free guidebook that has all the instruments, including, the identity scale and the behavior scale and the trees. It has a demonstration for the trees. It has everything that I have to offer up to now, and it's free, and it's got a chapter from each book. So, and it's free. So I encourage you again, www.iwanttobeme.org. Get the free book, find out, and be on the mailing list to find out what's going on. I am going to establish a presence on Pinterest where there will be more blogs, and I will talk about it in this Facebook page. So you'll hear about all of that. And of course, the sales and the free books will be advertised on the Facebook page. And who knows what's next? I don't know yet. We shall see. So take care all, and I hope to see you at the open house, at the call-in evening very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.